God bless you, global Christian friends across the globe, pastors, saints, and churches out there. A lot of you out there would be surprised to know that men did not used to count money. Men did not used to count money, but men used to weigh money. We're going to get a whole lot of that later on, not today possibly, but we'll get back to that point. Men and money, where it was not counted one time, but it was weighed at one time. And it's horrifying to know why money was introduced in society in the first place. Seeing the end result is the snare of the world. That no man may buy or sell, which is the principal economy of trade and commerce the world over. All right? The principal economy of trade and commerce the world over. No man may buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name which identified the beast, or the number opposite language of his name. Revelation chapter 13, verse 17. There are those who are familiar with the practice of exchanging names for numbers. And they know for what purpose. Gematrix, a word out there that you know out there. You got to know what it means. You practice it. Abraham weighed money to purchase sepulchre to bury Sarah and himself. You need to see that wonderful, you'll find this basically in Genesis 23 and verse 16. But you need to read the whole chapter. Now, here's a flashbulb moment. Abraham sacrificed Isaac, attempted to, on Mount Moriah. The temple was built there. Now, this cave that Abraham bought from Ephraim, the Hittite, there's an old tradition. Guess what it says? It says that Adam dug that cave. All right? It says the cave was dug a long time ago by Adam, which is why Abraham was so caught up in the idea of wanting to purchase the cave of Machpelah. Now, if you notice something very closely about that, you'll find that when you read it very, very closely, you'll find that Abraham did know something that piqued his interest to want to purchase that piece of property. And when you begin to read that 23rd chapter of Genesis, and you read it with a good, clear, clean understanding, you'll find that there is an interest. The Lord will show you that there is an interest as to why Abraham wanted that particular piece of property. It's kind of like the Samaritans. They wanted Mount Gerizim, You know why they wanted Mount Gerizim? Because Mount Gerizim, we told you this before, had a temple in it. Temple on it to that God. You know that God. And in that temple, that was what? There was the statue of a dove that they worshiped in that temple. That's why the woman told Jesus, our Father worship in this mountain. Yeah, but you know what you're worshiping. It was a dove. All right? The old tradition was Adam dug the cave of Machpelah. Abraham bought it. All right? But Abraham didn't count the money. What did Abraham do? Abraham weighed the money. All right? So keep this in mind. You'll find also in Genesis 25, verses 8 through 10, where Isaac buried Abraham there in the same cave. All right? Now, watch this. Even the betrayal of Jesus himself was prophesied by the weight and the count of money. Notice that? The weight and the count of money. Read it for yourself in Zechariah, Z-E-C-H-A, chapter 11, verse 12. Abraham weighed 400 shekels of silver for the cave of Machpelah. But when you read Zechariah, you'll find out they weighed for me. Now here's the count. 30 pieces of silver. All right? Understand this. Read it and understand. Look, if I were you, I'd have the world come over and pay attention to what God is saying. Because God is pouring out knowledge that's incredible for you to understand. And you ought to. Those are moments you need to understand. Now, for Abraham and Sarah, the money was weighed. Genesis 23:16. But for Jesus, the price of the money was both weighed and counted. Zechariah 11, verse 12. All right? But in both cases, when you look across the prophetic landscape of the price set upon precious metals, this great image, whose brightness was excellent, you'll find this in Daniel 2:29, like the anointed cherub that corrupted his wisdom by reason of his brightness, Ezekiel 28:17, the stone which was cut out of the mount without hand, Daniel 2:45, will devour this great image of precious metal, Daniel chapter 2, verse 32 and 33, and no place was found for them. Now, let me give you a flashbulb moment here. I got time for a flashbulb moment? I'll give you the scripture anyhow. John 21:22, Revelation chapter 20, verse 11. All right? Put those two together, and we'll come back with a flashbulb moment and show you those two quite shortly. God bless you till next time. Global Christian friend.